Just about. Just about ready. Okay.
Okay, let us begin with the metta practice. May all beings be happy and secure. May all, whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother who risks her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or in the awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this metta thought, let us continue our meditation. We try to focus our mind on our breathing. As we breathe in, the breath touches our nostrils and then reach our lungs, expanding lower abdomen and the chest area. And when we breathe out breath, then lower abdomen contracts, chest area contracts, and the breath leaves our nostrils. The nostrils, I said sometimes earlier, are considered to be a door for someone to enter and exit. And that is where we keep the mind focused. That is the focal point. Attention remains there. So that we can notice long inhaling. That means the breath moves into our lungs few seconds longer. As we breathe out, we notice the length of breath at the tip of our nostrils or nose or nostrils. And that is where we focus our mind, and in that is where we feel the length. If the length is short, we notice the short inhaling, short exhaling, right there at the nostrils. And then we notice also our feelings of the breath changes, our perception of the breath changes, our thought of the breath changes, consciousness of the breath changes. These changes take place as we breathe in as well as we breathe out. So always we notice something rising and passing away without any trace leaving behind. Rising something and passing away. rising and passing away. Once it is past, there is no trace of it behind. So that is how it happens all the time. So the mind gets so used to it, there is nothing to hold on to. And so our desire or greed fades away. And then the body relaxes, mind relaxes, the breath relaxes. In that relaxed state of mind, loving, friendly feelings arise. Just the feeling. And then our anger or resentment fades away. And then we notice our restlessness that also fades away as we become fully aware of suffering beings and compassion arises in us, then our restlessness, thought of cruelty fades away. And then we get energetic, therefore at that time our sleepiness and drowsiness fade away. Seeing all these things happening in us, we gain confidence, trust in the efficacy, the power of this practice. And then our doubt fades away. I mention all these things extremely briefly for people to understand what happens as we gain concentration deeper and deeper. This will not happen very quickly, but this is how it happens. And then joy arises when we see all these positive, wholesome results. That leads to happiness. Then the body and mind becomes even more relaxed, calm and peaceful, and then leading up to concentration. When we gain concentration, we see things are appearing and disappearing in the subtlest form. Everything in us is rising and falling. When we see rising and falling, again there is a moment of insight, wisdom, realization of the truth of existence. Everything we call exist does not exist even for a fraction of a second. They rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall without leaving a trace behind. However, since the rising and falling takes place so quickly, so rapidly, we get an illusionary image of permanency. Rapidity creates an illusion in the mind as something permanent. And understanding this, we continue our practice, and you can see it for yourself in your own practice. So let us practice now for next few minutes until we hear the bell. dukkha paccaya nidukkha bhaya paccaya nibbhaya sukha paccaya nisukha hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this metta wish, let us focus our mind on the Dhamma talk. Uh, Yesterday I made a mistake. That was yesterday was I was supposed to give the Dhamma talk, but I answered questions, so it was somewhat uh, confusing to people, maybe, but we continue like this week, and then next week onward, we return to our original schedule. Yesterday or day before last Sunday, I spoke on uh, inhaling and exhaling. I want to continue this. Friends, as I said, we are not rushing. We take a small section at a time. And since this is more practice-oriented talks, not very much theoretical or intellectual oriented. I'm not doing any research or scholarly discussion. I know our audience are average people. I don't assume they all are scholars or philosophers, and they all want to practice, put this Dhamma into practice. So, friends, today I continue the practice of inhaling and exhaling discourse, a section of Mahasatipatthana Sutta. We said when we feel long inhaling, we become aware of long inhaling. Where do we find long inhaling? We feel long inhaling. Where do we feel long inhaling? At the tip of our nose or nostrils. Nostrils are the doors, as I mentioned earlier, through which air goes in and comes out. And when the breath is long, we feel it at the tip of our nostrils. When we breathe in, we notice that. When we breathe out, we notice that. So this is the place where we focus our mind on. Sometimes people ask where should they focus their mind on when they breathe in and out. We mentioned as we breathe in, we notice the breath entering through the nostrils and then expanding our lungs, expanding our lower abdomen, and so on. Expanding lower abdomen, expanding chest area are secondary function. And the primary thing is nostrils. So that is where we have to focus our mind on. the Buddha gave a very uh, good simile. Buddha said, just as a skilled turner or his apprentice, when making a long turn, understands I make a long turn, or when making a short turn, understand short turns. No, and notice, understand I make a short turn. That is, when you turn a wheel, if it is short, you are cutting a leaf. When you cut a short leaf, then you make a short turn. When you make a long leaf, bigger one, you turn it long. In other words, uh, suppose you, another example, suppose you have a plane, you have a wood. When you want to make a short, want to cut a short place, you have to smooth the short area, then you move it very short. If you want to smooth the long surface, you use the plane long distance. These are the similes we have to remember in mind. When we breathe in and breathe out, we feel long inhaling as long inhaling, long exhaling as long exhaling. Sometimes people might wonder what is there to talk about. We know when we know breathe in long and breathe out long, we know that. Not necessarily. We don't know. We just don't pay attention. To know it or understand it, we have to pay attention. Remember, at the very beginning we said, focus the mind in the present. Parimukham sating, in the present moment, in the present moment, in the present place. The place is the nostrils, the moment is this moment. So both must be present here and now. And we must understand that way as we breathe in and out. So the Buddha said similarly, breathe in long, he understands I breathe in long. Breathe in short, he understands I breathe in short. Or breathing out short, he understands I breathe out short. So I mentioned in the first talk, we don't use the word I. We completely try to eliminate the word I and simply become fully aware of the breath, the length of breath. And then uh, when he experiences the whole breath body, you will breathe in. That is, experiencing the whole body, you breathe in. And experiencing whole body, we breathe in. That means entire breathing. the beginning, middle, end, all these three places. We don't say this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end, and so forth. We don't use these words. We just become aware of the beginning, middle, and end. And so, with this experience, the meditator breathe in and breathe out. He trains thus. In this section, Buddha said, in the past two sections, Buddha mentioned understanding. Now he says the training. Now we train ourselves. That means from the beginning, we must train ourselves. Training has to be done deliberately. That doesn't happen automatically. That means we have to have a patience. We have to have a focus. We have to have determination. We have to have mindfulness. We don't use words. Doing all this is a training. We train the mind because the mind is not well trained. It has its own domain. It runs here and there. It is just like a wild calf. When Buddha said in some places it is just like a training wild calf. Wild calf is a calf that has lot of milk in his mother's udder. He drinks lot of milk and no control and run here and there, jump up and down and move all over here and there. But if you want to control this wild calf, like, filly or pony or a horse or a cow's calf or whatever, if you want to train, you have to sink a strong pose into the ground, very strong, very deep, and tie the calf to that string, that the post. Then the calf would run around as long as the string can take him. He cannot go beyond the length of the string. So he keep running around here and there to get loose. And since he has a lot of energy, keeps running. And then finally he will be exhausted, cannot run anymore. Then he lies down. Similarly, when this mind is running like a wild calf, Buddha also mentioned, idang pure chitta machara charikang ye nityakang yakta kamang yatasukang tadajjahan niggahissami yoniso hattipabhinnang via ankusaggaho. Meaning this mind was running here and there, going to this pleasant place, that pleasant place, this object, that object, all the time. But now I use a mouth to train a wild elephant. You know, the stick that with crooked and sharp point, and using that, he tamed this wild elephant and to make him do what you want. Yeah, what you want. Similarly, Buddha said that when this wild mind running here and there, untamed. I want to tame it, train it. And that is why Buddha said here, he trains thus. He trains thus. He trains thus experiencing the whole body. I will breathe in. He trains thus experiencing the whole body. I will breathe out. Now, the also he uses the future sentence, future tense verb. I will breathe. That is, from the beginning to the end, he not only keep the mind in the right now, but he trains himself even in future. This is how I should train the mind in this way. He sees it now and he trains himself to make it in future the same way. Experiencing the whole body, I will breathe out, he trains. Thus, tranquilizing the body, I tranquilize the bodily formations, I will breathe in and tranquilize and train, thus tranquilizing the bodily formations, I will breathe out. He train tranquilizing does not mean he does anything deliberately to tranquilize it. But when he does this exercise, this mindful training, noticing the breath without verbalizing, conceptualizing, then the mind, just like that wild calf, settles down. This mind, which used to run here and there, will become calm, relaxed, and peaceful. That is where you find tranquility. You have to let it be tranquil, let it be calm, relaxed, and peaceful. If you make any effort to tranquil the body or tranquilize the body, breath body, you will you will not be successful. Uh, but if you are sluggish, you may fall asleep. So you have to make a right amount of effort, right amount of patience, alertness, awareness to pay necessary attention to stay on that movement of breath, to become aware of the whole breath body. So then the Buddha says, in this way, he dwells contemplating the body in the body, internally, or he dwells contemplating the body in the body externally. That is, he pays attention to his inhaling breath and exhaling breath. Internally, inhaling breath. Externally, exhaling breath. Externally doesn't mean that the meditator goes out to see, feel how other people, other individuals breathe in and breathe out. You are internally, you are inhaling and exhaling. You become aware as it comes and goes. Uh, or he dwells contemplating the body in the body both internally and externally. So you can see the length of inhaling length of exhaling, and also both inhaling and exhaling in a very equanimous state of mind. Both inhaling and exhaling. First, we learn to become mindful of inhaling, then we become mindful of exhaling, then you become mindful of both inhaling, exhaling. Uh, Both does not happen together, but your awareness must be that both inhaling as well as exhaling do the same thing, the long or short. And also he said another very beautiful thing. He dwells contemplating in the body, vanishing phenomena, rising phenomena, and vanishing phenomena. That is samudaya dhamma, vaya dhamma. Samudaya dhamma means rising phenomena, vaya dhamma means vanishing phenomena. Dhamma here means the function, action, the truth. Rising is an action, function. Falling is an action or function. You become mindful of both. And then he says he does mindful both rising phenomena and vanishing phenomena, becoming rising and vanishing, because this is the nature of sankhara. I mentioned the other day sankhara has three characteristics. Any sankhara. A sankhara is that which conditions anything. It is called sankhara. Uh, Samudaya dhammanupassiva kayasmin virati, vaya dhammanupassiva kayasmin virati, samudaya dhammanupassiva. Here kaya means breath, body. Breath body is itself is a sankhara. I mentioned that earlier. It is called kaya sankhara. Breath body is kaya sankhara. And it has three characteristics. It is rising is discernible, vanishing is discernible, and what we call existence, that is also altering. It is said in Pali, uppado panyayati, vayo panyayati, thitasa anyatattang panyayati. These three we must remember. Uppado panyayati. Samudaya dhamma means rising nature, rising nature. Vaya dhamma means falling or fading or vanishing nature. Dhamma is here nature. And samudaya dhamma means whatever in between is, between rising and falling, what is called the present, that also is not something static. That is altering and disappearing. So the mindful meditator must be so sharp and so keen, so precise in paying attention, undivided attention to the breath, to see rising, vanishing, and altering in between. That means we will see continuous flux. Nothing can stay. Whatever arises disappears, very altering, whatever in the between, altering and then disappears, nothing left behind, nothing left behind. Because of the perhaps our sharp awareness, we will be able to see these three moments: rising moment, peak moment, or vanishing moment. These are the three moments of existence: rising moment, peak moment, and passing away moment. So, peak moment also is not static, fixed moment, it is also moving moment, meaning we find no one single moment anything exists that is moving, and this factor must be kept in mind very clearly. So OS mindfulness that this is a body is simply established in him to be extent necessary for bare knowledge and mindfulness. Now, this is also very important. This body means this breath body exists for us to gain knowledge and mindfulness. What is the knowledge? That the body is there, breath body is there. And what is the mindfulness? Rising, falling, and altering. That means without greed, hatred, or delusion, we simply become aware of rising, peaking, and falling of the breath. The breath exists for us only for this purpose. Breath exists for meditator. Breath exists for anybody for living, since it brings oxygen. But we don't focus the physical fact of it. We use it to develop our spiritual faculty, mindfulness. So this body of breath or breath body exists for us to gain this mindfulness, sharp, clear, pure, rising and falling and vanishing, impermanence in other words. This breath body exists for us to see, to learn, to understand impermanence, because it is marked with this impermanence, always moving. So this breath body exists only for that, nothing else, for meditator. And then he dwells independent, not clinging to anything in the world. Independent. For this awareness, this knowledge, this understanding, he does not have to depend on somebody. He doesn't have to ask somebody, borrow it from somebody. You cannot see in books, but personally, independently, for yourself, by yourself, should see this. And that is called dwells independent. And other important things, don't cling to anything in the world. In this mind body whole complex is called the world. In the Buddha's dispensation, it's called Arya Sevene, Noble One's dispensation. The world is this mind body combination we call five aggregates. There is nothing for us to cling to. If we cling, we are depending. If we cling to anything, we depend. If we don't cling to anything, we are independent. We are independent. So, independently, we gain this knowledge and he dwells independent. He lives independent. He dwells without clinging to anything, independent. And this is, I think, is the end of this section. And next section we start in our next talk. Now, after this talk, you may have questions uh, to clarify whichever you did not understand well. Then you form these questions and ask me tomorrow. Uh, and please think of this. This is your read this section, think very carefully, and try to form your question. Please don't think that listening to this short dialogue will bring total understanding of this section. What makes you totally understand this is the practice. When you practice for yourself, by yourself, then you will focusing on your own breath. Then you will come up with even very more clear understanding of this short talk. Okay, this is how we move on with this discourse, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, practice oriented series of talks. So, with this, we want to wind down this morning's talk, and we want to wish we started this series of talks with metta for all living beings without any reservation or condition. May all beings who are particularly in suffering these days be free from suffering. May they return to their normal health, continue their Dhamma practice, and understand Dhamma more clearly. And there are beings who are suffering or for losing their relatives and friends. They may be grieving. May they all understand Dhamma and be free from grief and liberate themselves from grief forever. There are beings who are in hospitals, taken care of by nurses and doctors and hospital staffs, and they are very dedicated people uh, doing selfless service out of compassion. May they continue their very marvelous service and live long in good health and understand Dhamma and liberate themselves. There are many leaders who have done a lot of good things and they are still trying. May they live long in good health, continue their very selfless service. There are some individuals who very generously contribute to the various projects that are undertaken by various people to come up with some vaccine, and others who are in hospitals and so forth. In various places, there are people who are supporting. May they continue their generosity. And there are some other leaders who have not yet done very much, and in spite of their sincerity, perhaps they need deeper understanding, wisdom, patience, and compassion to make wise decisions to help these people. Thank you for coming and participating in this.
Thank you.
Thank you.